Hello, boxing fans. We're here with another news update, and I'm Kurt Ward, and I'm joined by Alex Morris, Brian King, and Paul Webb. And today, I haven't really heard this news, but apparently Floyd Mayweather has been, unsurprisingly, saying some pretty stupid things. I believe, Paul.
Well, yeah, he's basically in an interview with for ESPN First Take presenter Stephen A. Smith, who's long been on the team sort of Mayweather bandwagon on the First Take show. For anyone that's ever watched it, basically he's been talking about Muhammad Ali, and he was asked whether, does he consider himself the best fighter of all time? Does he think that he's better than Muhammad Ali? And this is basically what he said. So his own words: "No one can ever brainwash me to make me believe that Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali were better than me. Nobody could ever brainwash me and tell me that. The one thing I will do, I'm going to take my hat off to them and respect those guys, because those are the guys that paved the way for me to be where I'm at today." So starts off pretty complimentary about it, but still puts himself as the best. And then he went on to say this: Leon Spinks beat Muhammad Ali when he'd had just 7 fights. They'd never put a fighter in there with Floyd Mayweather who's had 7 fights. So you're going to tell me that it's cool to lay on the ropes and take punishment and let a man tire himself out from beating you, and then he basically fatigued? Regards to the Foreman fight, you hit him with a few punches and he goes down and he quits, and you want to be glorified for that. So he's basically saying that the fights with George Foreman meant nothing, that the rope-a-dope, which is arguably the most famous tactic ever used in a fight, was rubbish, and that Floyd would never lose to a novice fighter like Leon Spinks, ignoring the fact that Leon Spinks was an Olympic gold medal winner, and was 12 years younger than Ali when they fought. But there you go.
It's it. I mean, you'd hope that Mayweather's just trolling, wouldn't you, to try and get a bit of controversy going before this, fight. Try and get a few more pay-per-views off this. This is what he does. Controversy sells. But to be honest, I don't think he is trolling. I think he does mean this. I've saw him before when he said he's better than Ray Robinson, he's better than Ray Leonard, he's better than all these guys because no one else has done what he's done. No one else has been at the top of the game for so long and still got the O. That O is so precious to him. So I mean, I don't know what Brian you think about this.
I know you turn around and says that Spinks was an Olympic gold medalist, but put it this way: see, if Errol Spence Jr. won the Olympic gold 2 years ago, and they fucked him in with Mayweather, which is the exact same thing as they're doing. There's like 13 year difference. See if Errol Spence fought Mayweather after 7 fights, he won an Olympic gold. Would people have liked that? Would people have lapped that up in America? It was a bad loss. I don't care what anybody says. The Spinks didn't even go on to do much more after that. So
The thing though, you got to look at it though is, I mean, when do you stop looking at Muhammad Ali's losses? I mean, this was a guy. How old was he then? 36, 37. He'd come off the Ernie Shavers fight. Parkinson's was already apparent, in my opinion. If you see the training and going into these fights, yeah, on paper it's a bad loss to Leon Spinks. But let's be honest. After the third fight with Joe Frazier, should Muhammad Ali have gone anywhere near a boxing ring
but
again?
that's
I mean,
exactly why Mayweather says he is better. He's never going to be in that position in his health. He never purposely took punishment. Muhammad Ali did. For some reason, he thought that taking a punch was a good thing. It's not great taking a punch. Mayweather's going to hear the
He
best.
didn't think it was a great thing.
He stood there and accepted taking punches. Look what he done. Look what
He
he done
barely
before
got
me.
hit. He barely got hit.
Look what he done before me. And he sat there and just let him wade into him to tire him. That's no great.
The whole thing with the rope was been blown out of proportion
Well,
anyway.
I understand that, but he still took unnecessary punches a lot of the time.
Tired
I'm
him
not.
out.
But if you look at it, I mean, he turned pro in what, 1960? Was it 1961?
60
Something
or
like that.
61, yeah.
Yeah. So by the time he'd got to the point where he was fighting these guys, I mean, he'd had all the inactivity that he'd had because of the problems, and he'd been in with champion after champion and made defence after defence. I mean, it was what, 18 years later that he fought Leon Spinks? I mean, yes, he lost, but if Floyd, he always talks about being on top of the game for 20 years and this, that, and the other, which he has been, but it's a very different era. You look at how many fights and quality fights that Ali was having over a very short period of time, and it always goes back to the line when people talk about Floyd's legacy is Floyd didn't have a Joe Frazier. Floyd didn't have a George Foreman. You didn't have somebody that people thought. I mean, when was the last time you thought that Floyd was really in trouble in a fight? We're talking over 10 years ago.
He also didn't have a Henry Cooper.
Well, yeah,
but there's a major difference here. The thing is, Floyd, has Floyd ever been an underdog? Was he the underdog in the Crawlers fight? Slight underdog, maybe. I'm not sure. I think it was close on the betting. You got to remember, right? When as he was then, Cassius Clay fought Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was one of the scariest men out there. No one wanted to fight him. They were terrified. Henry Cooper, as said before, he was offered the fight with Sonny Liston. He said no. He was offered 2 fights with Cassius Clay and Muhammad Ali. He took them both away because one was a guy who looked like he would kill you. The other guy was more of a pretty boy who boxed and moved on his feet. He went into that fight. Many people thought that Clay, at the time, would be absolutely destroyed and never fight again because that was the reputation that Sonny Liston had. He obviously, he made a fool of him. He beat him again, and then 10 years later, when he's considered well past it, and he doesn't move on his feet anymore. He goes in the ring with another, basically killing machine in George Foreman, who's wiped every single guy out, and he does the impossible again. That's what Mayweather never has. I mean, if Mayweather moved up and done something that everyone says, this is going to be a nightmare for him. How can he get through this? And he did it. That's what Muhammad Ali did. Floyd Mayweather's never done that.
I'm not saying Muhammad Ali's not got a great resume. He has. I'm just saying that Mayweather's better.
Well,
but why?
It's difficult to compare it because of the ages. It's like a lot of people do this when they talk about. You always hear old people bang on about footballers from the 1950s that were better than Messi and Ronaldo. Well, the simple fact is they weren't because of the advancements in fitness, the advancements in training and conditioning and diet and all that sort of stuff. Floyd Mayweather, in terms of an overall athlete, was better than Muhammad Ali. And in terms of his unbeaten record, he concedes that as being better than. But like I said, he doesn't have those massive wins that Ali does. He doesn't have your thriller. And you look at Mayweather's career, you say, yeah, he won consistently over a long period of time. But he doesn't have a single win for me that stands out that people will talk about Floyd Mayweather as a fighter, his record in the future. With Muhammad Ali, most people don't know how many fights he lost or how many he won, but they know the Rumble in the Jungle, they know the Thriller in Manila, they know those big fights because they know it was when he was pushed and put in with the biggest opposition, he always won. And that's why he will always be regarded as not just better than Mayweather, but arguably the best ever.
I'd say beating Pacquiao, regardless of what your opinion is of what Pacquiao is now. I'd say beating Pacquiao now is better than anything that Muhammad Ali
No,
did.
that's bollocks. That's absolute bollocks for a start.
No.
That's a marquee name. I agree that Pacquiao would be the marquee name on his resume that stands out that quite a lot of people are looking for, and it's his rival, but it's not better than any Muhammad Ali.
I know people love bringing in like Ken Norton here as if it's like some sort of glitter name and all, but Ken Norton didn't really do much either, and he absolutely fucking struggled with him.
We're not bringing up Ken Norton. We're bringing up George Foreman. We're bringing up Sonny Liston.
Yeah, but we need to bring up other people who's beaten as well.
They're better than anyone Floyd's fought.
Yeah, but you could say Floyd struggled early with Marcus Maidana. He struggled with Castillo during the whole fight. I mean,
Yeah, he did, but he adjusted every time to win. Every time.
He was expected to win every time.
Well,
he was expected to win every time.
That's because he's that good.
Well, could you say then that Floyd's biggest, again, because this also compares to the argument of who was better, Floyd or Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard had Hagler, Hearns, Duran. He had people who were on an even level or a close level to him for him to have those kind of fights. Is it simply the fact that Floyd didn't have, as strong as the welterweight division is, the welterweight division didn't have those sort of stars or the people with that ability to match him for him to become as big as he should have done?
Well, Floyd had their names, but they wouldn't fight him because he basically wasn't like a big enough star. But at the time, he was wanting to fight Mosley at lightweight. Mosley turned it down. Why was he turning it down? Because he wanted to fight De La Hoya, who was the big name and all. De La Hoya didn't want to fight Floyd at that point either because what was the point? He didn't bring enough money, and he was the A side, so he didn't want to fight him. Floyd wanted to fight certain people that wouldn't fight him until he got as big as he got. So I know people turn around and say he's a ducker, but at the same time, people didn't want to fight him either because he was high risk, low reward.
I just think with Floyd, he lives on this nearly so that
Of
makes
course he
him
does.
relevant. And it is impressive. Listen, to be at the top of the game for so long and be undefeated, but you got to, it's all in context. I mean, look at someone like Ray Robinson, right? He lost to Jake LaMotta when he was basically a welterweight, and Jake LaMotta was a huge middleweight. He fought someone else like a week later, and then he fought Jake LaMotta again like a week after that. When you got guys who are constantly fighting, how would Mayweather do if he had to fight, 3 times a month, every single month? I mean, Henry Armstrong went 27-0 in 1937, I believe. How could he cope with that? I mean, people say 46 and whatever he is now. How long has he been professional now? Almost 20 years.
19 years.
It's
19 years and been a champion for 16, 17 of them.
I'm just thinking, how would he cope with the demands of boxing, having to get up for fights? I mean, yeah, they wouldn't always be great opponents, but having to constantly be in against people like that, and to me, I just, that's what the older guys had to deal with.
See, the whole original point was Mayweather saying he's better than Muhammad Ali, and I personally think he is. I'm not saying that he's better than Ray Leonard. I never says that, or Ray Robinson. He's better than Muhammad Ali.
Do you think that Muhammad Ali, though, like I said, and I've always thought this again, all of us are too young to know what it was like to watch Muhammad Ali fight live. I mean, like, if you ask parents and grandparents, they all know him. Do you not think that his activity out of the ring, on top of his resume, say if he was like Joe Frazier and he didn't dodge the draft, he didn't not go to Vietnam. Like Frazier never had any of that. Frazier was just an excellent.
No, that made him the bigger name that he
fights.
was. See, because he what he done outside the ring, that also made it even bigger.
But does that cloud what people think of him as being? Because I see a lot of people, and a lot of people class him as either the best heavyweight of all time between him and Joe Louis, or they class him as the best fighter of all time between him and Ray Robinson. Was he really that good? Or are we clouded by what?
I think
by the fact he won Sports Personality of the Century when the BBC did that in 2000. He was the biggest sports star ever. You could still say up till today.
Joe Calzaghe also won that. Sir Joe Calzaghe. Cal Froch never ever won that. # fact.
No, I think if you look at it, he beat everyone around his time. He beat everyone. I mean, like I said, he beat Sonny Liston, who nobody thought he would. He beat George Foreman, no one thought he would. He had 2 wins over Joe Frazier. Who didn't he beat that he could have? I mean, everyone he fought, and even when he was Parkinson's disease ridden, he could hardly do anything. He still went in there with someone like Larry Holmes, prime, undefeated, young guy. He still went in there and tried to fight him. I mean, because he still believed in his mind that he could get the job done, even though he was totally fat and shot.
Well, do you think not that obviously when you look at fighters I always use again Roy Jones. People say who's the best fighter of the last 25 years, and I always say it's toss up between Mayweather and Jones, but Jones is what's happened later in his career. And that's what people think about now. People have forgotten how much of a dominating force he was in the 90s and the early part of 2000. Mayweather will never have that. He'll never have a slide. I really think that his next fight and his one after that will be it. I don't see him fighting again. Whereas Ali, Jones, even the likes of I think Manny Pacquiao, fighters like this will always have that slide at the end of their career, and that's something that Mayweather's got, which is actually really unique. So that's why a lot of people will consider him. If he beats Pacquiao and does it convincingly, like I think he will, a lot of people will consider him the best ever. Younger people certainly will anyway.
I definitely believe when he retires and get a couple of years, the people will be raving about Mayweather. Raving about him. Like his personas kind of rub people up the wrong way. The same as a bit where Lennox Lewis was boring and all that and people didn't appreciate him. Get a couple of years. Everybody fucking couldn't shut up about Lennox Lewis and how great he was. And this is a little bit exactly the same as Floyd Mayweather. Once he retires, you'll get people kind of raving. Walking about TB everywhere. You'll be getting into like shops and all that, and it'll be like Nike Air Max, and it'll be Nike Air Floyd, and I'll be keying it. Yes, he's a size 8 name.
Well, this is a question again. Another question again, slightly off topic, but to do with Mayweather is if Pacquiao beats who's got the best legacy, or who will go down as the better fighter between Mayweather and Pacquiao? If you look at what Pacquiao's achieved, going through the weight divisions, improving, you look at his resume and the names on it, I would arguably say that's stronger than Mayweather's because of what he had to do in the lower weight classes. Who do you think right now has got a better resume out of the two?
Pacquiao.
Yeah,
I do.
Pacquiao.
I
Waiting
do.
for
Yeah.
Brian's response.
Yeah, so I'm waiting to hear what you said on that.
Listen, to me, some people go too much on losses. You know, yeah, he's lost, but when you're fighting great fighters, losses will happen. And if losses are to other good fighters, you know, what can you say? I mean, look what Pacquiao did before he even got to like welterweight. I mean, look at the guys he fought. He fought legends basically.
I've always said that Pacquiao has got a better resume than Floyd. You can't debate that, but at the same time, you also need to look at the fact that he's the catchweight king. If he was that good, he should have fought them all. There was no need to fight Miguel Cotto at 145. There was no need for that.
So I suppose going back to the original thing, it's basically a case of saying that, you know, Muhammad Ali fought everyone that he was asked to fight. He wasn't known for avoiding fighters, and he mixed with everybody, whereas Mayweather hasn't done that. So for me, I'd still class Ali as a better fighter overall.
I don't even think it's close. I think Muhammad Ali's on another planet.
I don't. I believe 47 on OTB. That's the way it is, and it's as simple as that.
Well, when Mayweather loses to Pacquiao, the issue will certainly be a non-issue anyway. So.
Yeah.
Right, I'd like to thank Alex Morris, Brian King, Paul Webb. I've been your host, Kurt Ward. I think we've all agreed, even Brian, that Muhammad Ali is on another planet to Floyd Mayweather Jr. Thank you.